Hi, David. This is Dad here. Okay, so hope you're fine. I am. Today, I received from Washington State. So I received a check, $316 and some cents in the mail. Okay, I just, if you could call me later about this anytime.
Sure.
Thank you. Love you.
You're welcome. Bye.
This message was relayed by interpreter
Oh, boy.
660.
Another voice from Harold's Voices. Harold's voicemails. You know what? Forget about that. Let's go for a drive. Bring it on, Hal. Hal in Philly. Let's do it.
9 o'clock, I'm bored to death. Smoke so much I can smell my own breath. My baby left me, my best friend's not at home. Can't get that woman off my mind. I've never been the brooding kind, but there's still one thing makes me come alive. Yeah, I'm gone for a drive.
The following podcast is rated D for dumb. You're listening to Dumbing It Down with Dave, the fastest podcast on earth. Listen to Dave commute to and from work on the New York State Thruway in his 2008 Kia Rio LX. He talks about pragmatism, truth, happiness, and the search for it all. Join Dave as he asks and tells you how life ought to be. And now, here's Dave.
Yeah. Here I am. I'm in the car in the Dodge Caravan, going for a drive. Thank you, Alex. That was Alex Exum, alexexum.com. You guys ready? All right. We thanked Alex. Thank you, Hal in Philly, for the song. Glad he's still associated with the show. And I like using that song. It's nice. It's a nice start. So let's get going here. We try to do something different every show. It's not always possible. Especially with what's going on in the world today. And this show is, Dumbing It Down with Dave. Pragmatism, truth, happiness, and the search for it all. And, if I could bring you something other than current events, I would. If there was something going on in my life, and there's usually 20 different things going on in my life. Right now, this is, the biggest thing is talking about this whole post-George Floyd murder, racism in America. We're still dealing with the COVID, I think. I'm not really sure. That's very confusing to me, what's going on with that. And I am often confused. This is like 230 some odd episodes of me never really truly understanding what's going on. So I don't pose myself as an expert. I go with my gut instinct. I go with intuition. I go with experience and wisdom. I might not have knowledge, which maybe is, I haven't really looked up the definition of knowledge and wisdom, being wise, dumb, kingdom, like that. Then there's dumb, but that's a different dumb. But, I know my place in the world. And so I do the best I can. But we're going to just recap last week's episode a little bit. I can't remember for the life of me what it was called, but let me see. Do I have the Racism or Poor Service? Episode 233. Racism or Poor Service, where I talked about driving up to Albany and dealing with a pool salesman, manager of a store. Kind of gave me the cold shoulder. Wasn't really sure what that was all about. Was that a Corona shoulder? Was that did I look like I couldn't afford a pool shoulder? Was she just a bad salesperson? And if I was black, would I have considered that potentially, was racist? That she, or maybe not racist, but there's definitely discriminatory. And one of the things I do know, and I want to make this clear, that we got to be careful with our words. Obviously, we got to be careful with our words because apparently everybody's getting fired for speaking up. And some people are really speaking up and saying dumb things. I hope that I never say a dumb thing. I'm very capable of doing it. I'm just as average or less than average than everybody else in the world. I do the best I can. And whatever I say with honesty. But, sometimes, oh, yeah, you know what? That was dumb. I shouldn't have said that. That was wrong. Or that was incorrect information, or I was misinformed. Whatever it is. But we all do it. Who's perfect in this world? We don't seem to be as forgiving as we used to be. But, the question is, who's perfect? And we seem to hold everybody to a much higher standard these days. And as soon as they fall off the wagon, it's like, done with you. We're out. Okay. And it's, lose your job and whatever. It's an interesting, I guess they call it the cancer culture. Cancel culture. Okay. So anyway, I wonder how many people mishear that and think it's cancer culture. So I talked about that, and I did think about this. Man, if I was black right now, I would feel like this woman is discriminating against me. That was a very honest perception. I stood there and I went, why is she not looking at us? Why is she not talking with us? She had a mask on. I had a mask on. My wife had a mask on. Dressed decently. I just didn't understand the lack of desire, although she did say that they're sold out until whenever, and I'm probably not going to see a pool till 2021. I get it. See, I guess you don't have to try as hard. But anyway, and there were 3 pallets of stuff. So for those of you that don't know what a pallet is, it's how we ship things on tractor trailers. We put them on a pallet, we shrink wrap it or whatever. We tie it down, however it is. And then we ship it and we deliver it. But for some reason, these 3 pallets were put right in front of the manager's desk. Now, I guess I could have taken a picture of it, right? I could have taken a picture of it. And I could have sent it to NAMCO and said, is this proper? I mean, I could have gotten this woman in trouble, right? Why would you put 3 pallets directly in front of the manager's desk? Other than the manager doesn't want you near her. She's terrified. Why wouldn't you just have one of those plexiglass things hanging from the ceiling like everybody else in the world? Maybe NAMCO doesn't want to spend the money. Apparently now it's a new company. So it's never as simple as it seems to me. Why wouldn't she just say, hey, listen, folks, I really do want to help you, but let's do it in a way where we all 3 feel safe. I don't know how safe you guys feel, but I want to feel a certain safeness. So I'm going to sit here at this desk, and I'm going to draw a yellow line, or I've already see the yellow tape on the floor. Can you just stand on that, near it, in front of me? But that's about 3 to 6 feet, whatever. No, that didn't happen. So tape is relatively, if not cheap, it's free. Or if it's not free, it's cheap. Duct tape, silver, blue, yellow. I would have taken any color. But it is sort of odd that there's 3 pallets. So, in front of her desk. So, if I was a black man, maybe I would have thought about that too. I said, you know what? Maybe this woman's just really not into this. And there's multiple reasons. But still, as I was discussing prices, I kind of felt like, wow, I'm not getting any help here. Why am I pulling information? And it was really all I could do to keep my mouth shut. But it did make me not understand, because I feel like I already do understand. I could understand, and I do understand why people feel certain ways about certain things, because you're just not being treated with respect. You're just not being treated right. So that was that. Then I talked about being at the Apple store and how there was some conflicting information. I really was fine with the way Apple was doing it. You go to this one tent, you speak to this one person, they tell you to go to a parking spot. They had them numbered 1 through 8 or 1 through 10. You go over there, then another person comes over. Everybody's wearing masks. Everybody's dressed appropriately. Some had blue hair, some had yellow hair. Some had piercings, some had tattoos. The Apple culture, whatever it is, kids today, fine, I don't care. But, there was conflicting information about this power cord that I wanted to get a new one. One told me that I had to make an appointment. Another one told me, no, we'll take care of it. But then they took my power cord, and it turns out, I didn't know this during the last episode, they didn't charge me for that. They just swapped it out. I wanted to buy one. So I'm confused as to why they would give me a free power cord when is that an Apple thing? I don't even know. I'd like to give them my iPhone 6S and have them give me another phone as a swap. But that's not going to happen, is it? So I was confused by that. And the lady that I spoke to, which was the third person in the story, was not really answering my question. Well, maybe she did. She said, oh, but you swapped. I go, no, I didn't swap. I paid for that. And she said, no, it was a swap. And I'm like, does she think I meant I paid for that when I first paid for that? Like 2 years ago? So definitely some lack of communication. And I, as usual, don't really exacerbate, the situation. I don't push the issue looking for a manager. But I was confused as to why they kept my old cord. I just gave it to the first lady because I wanted her to see, hey, because I think there's like 10 different cords. There's probably only one cord, right? I don't know. So I said, hey, this is the cord I have. I'd like to get that replaced. Did I say replaced? I probably did. I probably should have said, hey, I just want to buy a new one. Would have charged me $25, whatever. So now I'm out a cord, but I do have a brand new cord. So that was two situations. And the third situation that, so nothing racist, by the way, in the second situation, most likely, 99% of the story, not racist, not discriminatory, just people sort of not communicating at their best or not understanding, including myself, by the way. I'm always very humble in these situations, including myself. Could I handle the pool situation any differently? Yeah, I think I could have said, ma'am, Jackie, I'd like just to take a breath here for a second. Is there any reason why you don't want to sell me a pool? So that would put it like, no, what are you talking about? But I kind of feel like you don't want to sell me. I don't have a pool to sell you. Well, yeah, but I am here to be educated, and you're here to do public relations. If you can't sell a pool, you should sell yourself. You should sell the company. Maybe this woman is one day away from quitting, right? That's possible. So many things go on in the world that you just don't always know the story. That's why I try to have humility and I try to be empathetic, because I just don't really know this person's story. I don't know. So that was two situations. The third situation was driving around this thing called the Crossgates Mall. By the way, like there's 10 cars. Like nobody's at the mall. The mall is closed. The mall is closed. Although my wife spent some time, was it JCPenney? I think she was in not Macy's. She was in JCPenney, Kohl's or something like that. And she was walking around. I think it was Kohl's. And she was just walking around. Like she was shopping while I was waiting for my phone to be fixed. I had to wait like 2 hours or whatever it was. They told me. My appointment was at 1:30. They told me at 3:05 it would be ready. 5 minutes after 3. And it was, in fact, ready. And then a cop car, I don't think it was a security car. Could have been. I don't know. But like really rolled up on me. Like down the straightaway. I don't think I was going over the speed limit. But I don't know. But I got nervous. I got really nervous. Why are they rolling up on me like that? Because I know how it works. They'll keep a distance if there's nothing, because they don't want to scare you. But when they get close to you, they're close to you for a reason. So again, I don't remember if it was in fact a security card, just to rent the car, rent the cop, or if it was actual local, Albany police. But it did make me nervous. And it happened again the other day, by the way. Yesterday, as a matter of fact, I was on a road called 209, State Route 209. I was northbound, and a cop rolled up on me. And I got to tell you, I looked at my speedometer and go, oh my God, I think I'm doing 60. Because I wasn't paying attention. I had just sold an item on Facebook Marketplace, a motorcycle cover. And I drove down to meet somebody. They told me they would pay me twice what I was offering because they didn't want to drive north. So I drove south. I met them halfway, and they gave me twice the price. So why not? $20 richer. By the way, all that money with 5 minutes was in this caravan's gas tank, by the way. So rolled up right on me. Oh man, did I just get, because I sold the item. I was feeling good. I had $20 in my hand. I put on the Sirius satellite. I listened to some music, and I gave it some gas, and I went north. I didn't intentionally want to speed, but you guys know how these vehicles are. These nice vehicles, this caravan. You give it a little, a little pressure on the pedal, and boom, you're going. So, geez, I could have been doing 80, but I don't think I was. And then here comes this cop car out of the blue. I'm like, oh man, why are you rolling up on me? I don't want to get a ticket. I just made $20. Now I'm going to get $170 some odd dollar ticket, and go to court. And all this, my insurance, my job, all this. Thank God it didn't happen. But at that particular moment, after it was all, he disappeared. He pulled his a trooper's barracks. I think he pulled into the trooper's barracks. Actually, I think it's called F Troop, as a matter of fact. I think that trooper back on 209. But I was relieved, and I had to remind myself, Dave, you always have to be aware. You have to be aware. You can't just turn on the music and step on the gas. You got to be really aware of your speed. You are a professional truck driver. I was not at my best. At that particular moment, I was not at my best, which, by the way, if you remember, was my reasoning, my logic for what happened between my sister and I 23 some odd years ago. There was a moment in time where neither one of us were at our best. And then there was a conflict, which devastated the relationship as far as I can tell. So that's the recap, really, of the previous episode, racism or poor service. But we're still talking about racism. The biggest news, apparently, is, we've gone from George Floyd. Now we're talking about Bubba Wallace and this noose that was found in a garage stall. So let me just quickly read something to you here. Let's get rid of this. We don't need that. Let's put up this. And this is from June 23rd, 2020. So this is a couple days ago. This is the official NASCAR release, 5:32 p.m. If today's, in fact, the 25th, which I neglected to mention, June 25th, I'm driving northbound on the Thruway, 6:28 p.m. This was 2 days ago. Yeah, exactly, almost 48 hours ago. This is the release from NASCAR. The FBI has completed its investigation at Talladega Superspeedway and determined that Bubba Wallace was not the target of a hate crime. Good. That's great. That's good news. The FBI report concludes and photographic evidence confirms that the garage door, it's a garage door, pull rope, fashioned like a noose, had been there since as early as last fall. The last time there was a race at Talladega. Somebody decided to make a pull rope out of a noose. They have photographic evidence of it. This was obviously well before the 43, Bubba Wallace's car has the number 43. So before the 43 team arrival and garage assignment. Because at every race during the season, folks, you don't always have the same garage space at every track. They change. They're all generic. So, they provide NASCAR or the track, because some of the tracks are in fact owned by NASCAR and some are not. So they provide these generic garages for everybody to use, no matter how successful your team is or isn't. It's just a matter of the location is based on some sort of system. It could be whatever it is, has nothing to do with anything that you could have possibly known by the time they arrive. I think there's some sort of delay that you couldn't have possibly known that team, Bubba Wallace's team, was going to be in that garage. So anyway, that releases a lot of people from a lot of responsibility. And NASCAR says, we appreciate the FBI's quick and thorough investigation and thankful to learn this was not an intentional. They are thankful to learn that this was not an intentional racist act against Bubba. We remain steadfast in our commitment to providing a welcoming and inclusive environment for those who love racing. For all who love racing. There you go. So that's great. There is, in fact, a timeline somewhere here on the NASCAR site. I thought that I downloaded it, but apparently I did not. But there is a timeline, and I love timelines because as a pragmatic, I want to know. I mean, and by the way, I'm going to post a picture of the noose on my Facebook page, on the Dumbing It Down with Dave Facebook page. If you haven't seen it, there's a chance I might change my mind because I realize somebody might misinterpret. They go, "Oh, Dave's glorifying the noose." No, I'm not glorifying the noose. If you haven't seen a picture of it, then I could post it. You go, "Oh yeah," or whatever. You could just say, "Yeah, Dave, we know what a noose looks like. We've seen movies. We know what a noose looks like." So they apparently investigated, and I'm going to make up a number now, over 1,000 garage stalls that NASCAR is responsible for. Could have been 1,100, could have been 1,600. It's a lot of garage stalls. And only 11 of them, by the way, that sounds like my company that I work for. Only 11 of them, of those garage stalls, had garage door pulls. Only 11 of them. So I guess everybody else is using the handle on the door as opposed to the rope. Some people like the rope, some people don't like the rope. I don't know. It's one of those accessories, you make a rope, whatever. And maybe, and they know who had that stall last year. There's no doubt about that. They know exactly what team had that stall last year and the year before. Every race prior to this week's race, NASCAR there's a record of it. They absolutely know who had that stall, and they know the crew members because the teams, they have rosters. They know who they've hired and who works for them and so on and so forth. So maybe that team, that particular team, is having a team meeting. Maybe NASCAR is furthering the investigation, trying to figure out who made the noose and why would you choose that. So, I mean, chances are, that team has a white driver. So why would anybody make a noose as a garage door pull? Well, I have my theory on that. And it comes back to something I've been talking about on many of these shows. Because a man most likely made that noose. And men are morons. That's just it. I know a lot of guys don't like to hear that. And they don't like to hear a lot of the things I've been talking about, I guess, because except the only person that seems to be commenting lately on my show is Linda, who's a woman of great intelligence and taste, by the way. So I understand if everybody's afraid to comment on shows that I'm doing where racism is in the title or the murder of George Floyd is in the title, because, then you're guilty by association. But I haven't said anything, that's derogatory or racist or whatever. I'm just trying to understand the truth. I have no agenda. But men are morons. Men start wars. Men kill people. They kill people with guns. They kill people with knives. They kill people with all different ways. Men kill themselves. Men do a lot of stupid things like kill themselves by accident. And I just saw an article about some guy that was climbing Mount whatever, that famous mountain over there, and he fell. He had the video camera on. He was streaming it live. He slipped and died. But, apparently there's a lot of criticism that he wasn't being safe because he shouldn't have been streaming. He should have been using his gear to climb that mountain, whatever that famous Mount Everest or whatever. So I just saw that video this morning. It stumbled across my feed or whatever. My life, I don't know. Doesn't matter. But men do stupid things. And I happen to know, because I was in the Navy, and I happen to know that men like to do things. Years ago, there was a hit TV show with Tim Allen from Buzz Lightyear, and it was called Tool Time. And every show was about more power. Whatever it is that there was, he wanted to enhance it because he wanted more power. He wanted it to be whatever, always more power. And he did the gorilla groan or whatever that groan was, whatever that growl was. I assume it was a gorilla or some sort of manhood type of thing. More power. So somebody out there knew how to make a noose. Somebody was in the Navy. Somebody was in the Cub Scouts. Possibly somebody came from a racist family that made nooses. I have no idea. But whatever the decision was to make a garage pull like that, and I can't even begin. I've never actually held a noose in my hand. Have I? I don't really know. I don't know why I would remember that. So I don't know if I ever seen one in the Navy or anything like that. And we all are pretty much convinced that the noose is only made for one specific purpose, and that's for lynching. That's for hanging. You wouldn't make a noose for any other reason other than to hang somebody. That's my understanding. I don't know any other reason. Is it a great knot? It's a great thing as far as like efficient, like whatever you tie that around, it's not going to let go. Maybe, I don't know. I'm not a knot maker. I don't have rope that I play with. I don't sit there and do that. I know some people like to learn how to make. So there are people who are boaters, and they like to make knots. That's their thing. The slip knot and this knot, the eagle eye knot, the rabbit ear knot, whatever. There's so many knots, and it is part of your Navy training, by the way, as a boatswain mate or just as a seaman. I think when you go into the Merchant Marine, there's more. I'm not really sure, by the way, now that I'm thinking about it, and I'm saying this out loud for the first time, when a big ship pulls alongside of a pier, there's a big fat rope that comes down off the boat. And there's a loop at the end. Is that a noose? I mean, you don't want that boat moving away. So you want to get the best knot possible, or whatever that is. Yeah, I think it's a knot. I don't really know that for sure, but I would say, I'm just going to guess, for all intents and purposes, that's a knot. And you don't want the ship to sail away because the knot came loose. So that could be a noose. I know it's a big, big loop. I don't know, folks. I really don't know. But it would make sense if that's the best knot you can make, and it's a big loop, and you can adjust it. I know you can loosen it, but once you cinch it, it stays tight, right? That's why they use it. Anyway, I'm not 100% comfortable talking about it, but then again, I have no agenda here. I'm just trying to understand the world in which we live in. And my guess is that some guy thought it'd be a really good, you know how to make a noose, so I'll show. And he probably was like an intern, is one of the younger guys on the team that wanted to impress, somebody else, his superior, crew chief, a boss, somebody said, hey man, I know things. I'm not just the guy that pushes a broom. I'm a guy that knows how to make knots. I have skills. And that's typical men for you. We want to show the next guy in charge that we know what we're doing. We're qualified. We belong there. Was that noose made out of racism a year ago, 2 years ago? However, whenever it was made, I couldn't begin to tell you. I wasn't there. I don't know the person. There's a million reasons why that noose was made. And there's one good reason why not to make it. But because people don't like nooses. It makes people uncomfortable. Does it make me uncomfortable? Yeah, a little bit. A little bit. I honestly have never encountered one, so I couldn't honestly tell you what my reaction would be if I saw a noose. But it does. There's a lot of negative imagery that comes with that, so I totally understand. Okay, so there you go. A little going back to episode 233, for whatever reason, I can't come up with the word. Redoing episode 233, and now this episode, what could I possibly call it? It's definitely a noose. It was a noose. It is a noose. I know that I saw Bubba on a CBS morning show interview, and he looked really dejected. I mean, I thought it was a really bad interview. Just speaking non-racism, non-everything, just as a personality, I didn't really feel that he gave a good interview. He didn't really step up. He was getting support from Gail, Oprah's friend, who hosts the show, and this other guy whose name I don't know. And they were really being polite and asking him questions, and he kind of seemed short. That's a good word? Trite? Is trite a good word in this situation? I don't know, but you can Google it. There's a Bubba Wallace. By the way, Bubba Wallace Monday morning, whatever. It was one of those days this week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, where after they had pushed whatever Talladega was, I didn't watch it. Whenever the Talladega was, they pushed his car up to the front, and there was a whole thing about that and all the support he got, and the Confederate flag no longer being flown at NASCAR tracks. And then he does this interview, and it's just a really not a good interview. I don't feel like he stepped up. But then again, maybe they woke him up. That show was early in the morning. Maybe they woke him up a little bit early, and he was, tired. Could have been tired. Could have been hungover. Could have been just exhausted with the whole thing. And they even asked him, it must be exhausting. And he was like, yeah, just, whatever. It just wasn't an interview I would have expected, his response. But I understand he's under a lot of duress. So we give him a pass. Do we give men a pass? Listen, men, this has been a horrible last couple of years for us. It's just, we keep on showing our stupid side. Not all of us, but somehow we all have to take responsibility. We all know men that are stupid, and we don't say anything because we don't want to be bothered. He's a moron. I'm not a moron. I know people like that. I work with them every day. I'm probably going to see one in a couple of minutes, and he's going to say something stupid. I'm just going to go, I can't deal with it. So we need to step up and do better and get better, do better marketing for ourselves. Listen, folks, I tried to dumb it down the best I could. I'll see you guys next episode. Thank you, Hal. Thank you for listening to this episode of Dumbing It Down with Dave. Goodbye, good day, good night, good luck, good riddance, good rats. Godspeed, and great skills. Take care.